Yo, what's up guys? Chandler here with Rise Magic. Sorry for the weird location. I'm just stopping in really quick to say that what you're about to watch is the part 2 video to the deck collection video that I filmed last week. It ended up being super long, so I split into the first part and the second part, but as promised, I'm doing a giveaway in both parts. So last week in part 1, which you gotta watch before you watch this video for it to make any sense. So in part 1, I just asked you to leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on post notifications. And I would select 3 comments at random to win the 4 decks that I had up for grabs in last week's video. Those winners are listed in the description. Now for this week's video, which you're just now about to watch, we're gonna do the same exact thing, giving away 3 more decks that I'll select the winners next week as well. Those 3 decks are gonna be the Furious deck, the Queen deck, and a brand new deck of Talley Ho. So all you have to do to enter, like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and leave a comment down below. Once again, the 3 winners from last week's video are listed in the description. All right, that's all I got on my end. Now for the second half of the video, where I go over the decks in the second half of the deck display collection, and I'll go over some other decks that you don't see in that part. Just Blue Monarchs, no reason to pull those out. Dark Side Star Wars playing cards, also sent to us by Theory 11. Really cool stuff right here. The design. Peter McKinnon made a whole video about these on his channel. They had to rush order these to get them ready in time for the Rise of Skywalker. As you can see, Star Wars ad card, and that's what the back design looks like. I haven't really gotten the chance to use them at all because, like I said, with Rise playing cards, I've been using pretty much exclusively the prototype decks for that for the past couple of months. You know, getting my skills all tuned in for the trailer. Over here, we have the Madison, I believe these are the dealers. They're a marked deck, which is really useful, and they're marked very cleverly. Believe it or not, that's marked. Obviously, as a Daniel Madison deck, they handle really well. But the fun story behind this deck is, when I was going to college, a magician called Justin Flom, one of my favorite magicians of all time. He's just so charismatic with how he interacts with people. He was performing at my college, so I went to the show, and I was like, shoot, I'm gonna meet him after the show. What can I have him sign? And I was looking through all the decks I had at the time, and I was like, this deck with its white box, it has the best canvas for a signature. So I took a Daniel Madison deck, and I had Justin Flom sign it for me. So shout out Justin. I think when I met up with Justin, we had like 8,000 followers on Instagram and no YouTube channel. So it's crazy how things have evolved from that point. Red Makos, those are like the black Makos that I made that trailer for on the beach, but they're red. These are by Riffle Shuffle Kevin Yu. Can't really remember the name of them, but they look like that. Pretty solid cards, handle very well. This is the Truth deck. Remember I showed you that Lies deck by Murphy's Magic that I hadn't opened. This is the Lies version, and apparently they connect somehow. I can't remember how, but haven't opened them yet either, so maybe I could give them away. Aviator playing cards. These are by Art of Play. Kind of like a new school bicycle back design, as you can see right there. Pretty solid deck. Not much to say about it. Not really a story behind it. Just a cool deck that I got. This is the Blue Seal bicycle deck that I used in the video I did with the red one, where the blind test. So Blue Seal cards didn't live up to the hype for me. You can watch the whole video if you want to see it, but cool beans. Okay, moving on. David Blaine Black Lions Red Edition. I bought a ton of these on Black Friday. I forget how many I ordered, but obviously David Blaine's the OG modern magician, so I love his playing cards. Had to get as many of those as I could. Up here we have the, not gonna lie, I never learned how to say this, but MOA. I don't know if you're supposed to say MOA or MOA. Look like that. Pretty cool deck. Black, all fractal design. When I was in Yosemite with my family, I was still on that Bacopo contract, and this is one of the decks that I promoted. So I was at the highest point in Yosemite. I believe it was called Granite Overlook or something like that. The name's escaping me right now, but took a cool picture up there with them, put it on Instagram, cool stuff. This is just the green Lost Year deck that I showed you earlier. These are Aladdin playing cards. As you can see, the box is broken, so cards are falling out the bottom. Very old deck. These belong to Grant. Lots of these decks that are the older ones belong to Grant because he's always been doing this a lot longer than I have. Up next, these are the White Lions. These are the Tour Edition. So another deck that I got in my David Blaine haul. Pretty solid deck. If you want to see these David Blaine decks in action, I made an ASMR video that was just David Blaine cards. You can check that out. This is the Karshri Khan deck for what year? Honestly, I don't know. This is one of the decks that I got from Pierre Gomes when I purchased a lot of his playing cards. So as you can see, that's the design. It says Karshri Khan on it. So they look like. For those of you who don't know what Karshri Khan is, it's like a yearly gathering for lots of carists to like meet up in person and actually meet each other since it's such an online community. However, that got canceled this year, I believe. Rest in peace because of coronavirus. Tough scene. Next up, Play Dead playing cards. I made a whole video on this. This is one of those videos where if you watch that video, Kevin Yu's obviously a good friend of mine. These are awesome cards with a cool design. But I forget how many subscribers we had at this point, but he was like, can you make a video on these? And I was like, I'm too busy right now with work, traveling around. What was I doing at that point? Oh, it was when I had first gotten my job. And it's like, dude, I can't make the video for that little amount. And he was like, what if I send you 2 bricks of cards? And I was like, shoot, my weakness. So I made a video. Plus the cards ended up being really cool. Another deck of Superflies by Gemini Decks. These are the Spitfire versions, as you can see. They are green and yellow with that cool line design. Look like that. Definitely enjoy those cards. Okay, here we have the Solid Gold deck. Just recently made an ASMR video, unboxing video with these. If you want to check them out. Kind of crappy cards, but they look super cool, which is pretty impressive. This is just an all purple deck by Bacopo. Not even worth getting in focus. It's a super cheap, I believe they call it their Steel Edition cards. This is the Devil's Tower National Monument playing cards. Maybe I'll make a video about them, but I believe my parents got these for me. They're a national park. Pretty cool deck. You know, those souvenir decks, as like, you know, card aficionados, they don't always handle the best, but I always think it's cool how like playing cards are such a universal thing that are always at souvenir shops. Like if you're at Virginia Beach, they've got Virginia Beach playing cards. If you're in Seattle, they got Seattle playing cards. Like everything has playing cards, including us. Surf's Up. This is the Malibu 2.0 deck by Gemini Decks. He sent us these, and obviously I had that story about the first edition. It was the first time someone sent us stuff in bulk. That was pretty cool. It's the Binary deck. This is also a part of our Bacopo contract. Back in the day, focus. Covered my face. Not the biggest fan of the design, but pretty cool. Red Monarchs. You guys, you know what? First person that comments the story behind this deck and the first video that we use them in, you'll win one of the decks that I'm giving away, because this is like our first OG video that, you know, got some play, got some views online. We use the Red Monarchs and we use the Blue Monarchs. So there's your hint. First person to comment what video they're from, you're winning one of the decks. It's that easy. These are the 2.0 version of this deck that I showed you earlier. Focus, yeah. So it's the 2.0 version, just another deck. I don't know how to say the artist's name. I've been avoiding it. Is it Mondrian? The artist that did all those like Coca-Cola paintings and stuff back in the day. Wow, I sound very uncultured right now. But cool deck, haven't used it that much. Then we just have Blue Monarchs that are obviously Red Monarchs. Then we have this, I've had this sitting on the deck display for a few videos before we actually announced Rise playing cards. It's the box to the Sirius V2 cards by Kevin Yu, but it looks all white on this side, so that's where I wrote Rise Playing Cards Final Draft, because we couldn't actually get a prototype with the box. The box is gonna look sick though, as you guys have seen on the website. But actually inside of these, as promised, is the final draft of Rise playing cards. I wasn't lying to you guys. They were actually in there. And a few of you guys noticed. All right, next up, we have this really old deck of bicycles. But what's special about these is these are the fan back bicycles. Now these actually have a very interesting story behind them. When we did the cardistry battle video, there's this, I don't want to say famous scene because that sounds self-indulgent, but the most important scene of that video, the cardistry battle video, is when Grant and I did these anaconda dribbles facing each other. Now, with time freezing and everything, obviously that was a video that was split down the middle, and we both took turns doing it on each side, and with the magic of editing, put it together. But the Red Monarchs and the Blue Monarchs we were using in that video, they were brand new, so they kind of sucked at doing the anaconda. And I was like, well, you can't tell what cards we're using from that side angle, so we used this deck because it was the best anacondaing deck that we had at the time. And I forget which direction it was. Yeah, that was the direction. They just... Look, I haven't probably used these since that video, and they still anaconda so well out of the box. Don't know why, couldn't tell you. But that's the story behind that deck. Where'd that box go? Orange Gemini Casino deck. Not too special here. As you can tell, as we grew, Gemini decks definitely helped us out by always sending us fresh decks. Shout out to them. We have the Guard deck, 2017. This was by Bacopo as well. Part of that contract back in 2018. The first contract I've ever been signed to make videos. Same with this pinball deck. Use this. And my friend and I, Sam Rose, we went out to media and performed Magic for some people. And I made a little segue / like compilation of him using this deck in the streets. All right, stock Talley Ho deck up here, but yeah, I was right. So the thing about all these decks up here that you guys might notice is that they're all custom decks pretty much. As you'll see when I show you what I got laying on the chair here, I only perform with Talley Hos. I know it might seem like Grant and I really only do YouTube now, and with coronavirus, that's pretty true, but we also perform Magic a lot. And before I had my full-time job, I would perform Magic a lot, as a paid gig for money. We would always use Talley Hos. And when you're using a performing deck, you want it to be broken and you want it to be good, so you kind of rotate out. So I have so many open Talley Ho decks that have just worn their welcome. They're just too worn to use for performing. So they're not up here, they're all down here. But what's cool is for my performing decks, maybe this thing that you guys can start doing. Every time I opened a new performing deck, I would write the date that I opened it on the pull tab. So as you can see here, I opened this deck on 9/5/15. So September 5th, 2015. So a pretty worn out deck of blue Talley Hos with some cards missing, obviously because of angle 0 and stuff like that. Serious B playing cards by Kevin Yu. These have a super cool design. They were some of my favorite cards released that year. It's kind of like that depth that you see there. I believe I've used them in a couple tutorials on YouTube, but honestly couldn't tell you. More David Blaine decks right here. We have another one. No, I showed you the red one before. This is the blue Black Lions deck, metallic blue. And then what I also grabbed was the Superior brand fine quality playing cards, which was also released by David Blaine. And these were used in the first cardistry ASMR video. And last week I actually told a story about the first cardistry ASMR video and how it came to be. But these are the cards used in that video. First cards to go viral on our channel. So they're near and dear to my heart. I'll never let go of these because they represent a really meaningful time in my life. I don't know why these are up here. Black bicycles. Walmart used to have it where if you buy, there was like a 3-pack where you buy a blue bicycle and a red bicycle and you get a black one for free. I used this to perform when I was in high school a lot before I switched over to Talley Hos. And I think I kept them in my backpack. And you guys obviously know about how limited my diet is. So they have a tomato juice stain because my lunchbox leaked for the day. So as you can see, stained red from tomato juice. It's probably about 5 years old. Kind of disgusting, but it's a stain. V7 Parallel Edition of Orbits, also gifted to me by Nick Stumphauser. Shout out to him and the Orbit brand for giving me some decks. Really appreciate it, guys. Here is another deck of Nox by Murphy's Magic. I haven't really used these that much at all, but they're blue Nox with a yellow border, as you can see right there. I always thought it was cool how the boxes open on these, because they don't like take up extra space like these ones, but it's just something different. Blue Jerry's Nuggets, already went over those. Another deck of I think this was a performing deck. Yeah, so this is just another deck that I use for performing. A Red Talley Ho. And if I remember right, I tell you guys that I always carry a matching invisible deck with my performing deck. Yeah, so that water damaged invisible deck I showed you earlier, this was its matching performing deck. So, I actually practice what I preach. 125th anniversary bicycle playing cards, like a throwback design. These cards suck. You'll rarely hear me say that, but these cards, they handle horribly. I don't know if they're thinking let's make them handle like cards that are 125 years old, but these cards are horrible. They don't even fan well. They've barely been touched. They're just horrible out of the box. Feel like dollar store playing cards. I say in my reviews that all cards pretty much handle the same, which is true with minor differences. But these cards, you blindfold me and give me 200 decks, I'll be able to pick these cards out because they suck. They suck so bad, but I keep them on the shelf. Another Cards You Touch deck, I already went over that. This is another steel deck by Vicopos. These were the purple, these were the greens. Another Superfly Stardust deck. I think I used these in a Sybil Cut variation tutorial. Very abstract looking design. Not the biggest fan of that design, but I do like Gemini decks in general. They've got really cool designs. What is this? Oh, Black Lions, actually black edition. So I show you the blue and the red. These are the ones that are actually black. But the design obviously looks pretty sick, almost like carbon fiber. David Blaine decks, obviously, like I said, some of my favorites out there. Gemini Casino Black. The story behind these is these are the cards I use in the 2-card Monty tutorial, which is the same video where my girlfriend had a bearded dragon for like 10 days because she was keeping it for a friend while they moved. And for that video, I was over at her house and I'm like, yo, let's put the lizard on my shoulder while I teach the tutorial and do the tutorial with a lizard. I don't know why I did it, but it's memorable. And that's the story of this deck right here. White Lions, so we had the Black Lions, Blue Edition, Red Edition, these were the White Lions. I told you, I bought a ton of David Blaine decks and made that ASMR video about them. But as you can see here, White Lions, and then the deck is just super minimal. David Blaine logos, super smooth, super clean. I would love to make a deck like that someday. Winky face. Here we have Fontaine playing cards. I've never owned a deck of Fontaines. This was sent to me, but I know that Fontaines are super expensive, so I never opened them. But this is the only deck of Fontaines I have. I believe I have 2 more from the package I was sent. It was sent over by Bacopo in their huge shipment of playing cards. These are the Slight editions because they were used in that movie Slight where they used Fontaine playing cards in there. A-Catcher playing cards. These were sent to us, I believe, from Germany. I could be wrong on that. Just going based off my memory. Really cool looking deck. Look like that. They just sponsored us to make a cool little Instagram post about those cards. And then we have the Implicit playing cards. These were made by our friend Nathan Dharma in Australia. Very, very unique looking deck. Very unique looking. You know, you don't want to do Magic with these because they're so non-standard. But the design is just very, very out of the box. Pretty cool looking. You know, all the court cards are custom, but like so custom where you couldn't do Magic with that. But it's a super cool looking artistic deck to play around with. And the box is, you know, very, very cool looking with its embossed innards. Why did I say innards there? That's kind of disgusting. Nearing the end of the video, lastly in the deck display, we have a box of Talley Hos, but it says Luna on it. And if I remember why, it's because this was the prototype to the Esther Star deck that Kevin, you sent me. And they didn't want to send one of those fancy boxes yet. So as you can see, it looks just like the Esther Star deck, but it's blue. So I don't have a box for it, so I keep it in there like that. Now, I don't know how long this video is at this point. If I were to guesstimate, probably about 30 minutes. I'll hopefully try and edit it down. These are obviously not all the decks that I have. There are a ton more. But I guess these are the most interesting ones. I'm gonna go really quick over what I got in here. And then there's obviously the stock for playing cards that are available on risemagic.com. And the 5,000 decks of Rise playing cards that will be being shipped to my apartment soon. So we'll be adding 5,000 more decks to this collection, but you guys bought them all. So I'm gonna ship them all to you. So once again, thank you for helping us sell our Rise playing cards. I'm gonna quickly go over these decks, even though it's not anything crazy in there, but you'll get a look about the other decks I have. Let's go. All right, so here we have the shoe box where a lot of my playing cards that didn't make the deck display still sit. I'll try and find some notables in here. This is the Furious deck by Bacopo from that contract. Cool box. There was a typo on it. I remember that says Become a Cardist instead of Cardist. That's interesting. Got a few decks of those. I never sold them because they were part of a sponsorship, which I normally do sell those cards because that's kind of like my payment for the video. But since he's had a typo on them, I never felt comfortable selling them. Here are, this is Fan 2C. So I'm not going to show you what's in here, but what's in here is a gimmick. And it's the poker hand, the changing poker hand gimmick. I keep it in this John Porper card clip. Lots of obscure extra decks here and stuff like that. The Esther Star deck, like I talked about. More sealed decks, like there's some extra ultras. Here are a couple of the Parasol Tree decks. These are more of those fancy opening boxes. This is from the most viewed cardistry video of all time. We had the black version of that. Got a few sealed versions of that left, and then we had the white version, the white Parasol Tree deck. But really everything in here is just like copies of the decks I have in the deck display, but new, right? So there's a couple of the Flora decks. I'm trying to think if there's anything that you guys would really want to see in here, like an in-depth look, but most of it you've already seen before in the deck display. As you can see, lots of Talley Hos that I have ready for when I perform. Sealed ones, stuff like that. Telling you guys, you don't even realize how many cards I have. I've got even more underneath here. As you can see, more Fontaines, more Split Spades, more Verts, more Steel. I don't even know what's all in here. We'll just dump it out. Yeah, as you can see, lots and lots of cards. This is a whole nother brick of David Blaine cards. This was the box that those cards came in from New York City. What's this? There's a note to me from Expert Playing Card Company for those Jerry's Nuggets cards. This is the special fancy box that the all gold playing cards came in with, that famous certificate. Oh, and then the last thing I'll show you guys, which I know you'll be interested in, is these bricks of Talley Hos contain all of my old performance decks, and they kind of get merged together in case I want to use them for gimmicks and stuff like that. But seriously, if you look in here, just tons of old playing cards that either the box got so destroyed I couldn't use the box anymore, or you might see some of these cards and be like, Chandler, those are not in bad condition. I know I'm gonna get comments that are like, Chandler, some of those cards are not in bad condition at all. You look like a clown saying that those cards aren't usable anymore. You got to keep in mind that we do lots of magic tricks that destruct playing cards. And once there's about 5 cards missing from a deck and you're performing with it, you kind of got to retire it, because you can't have missing, you know, 2 of your aces or 1 of your 7s. People could find out, why is your deck not standard, huh? Why are you missing a card? And people will, you know, want to examine your deck. You just want to make sure you're using a deck that's always not brand new, but a little bit broken in when you're performing professionally, as I have done, you know, lots of times. And when you're getting paid to do it, using a $3 Tally Ho deck for that night where you make, you know, some good money, it's an investment to always make sure you got good material. Your basketball, if you're a basketball player, you want your shoes to be good. Your equipment to do your job, your cards, you always want them to be in the best condition possible. So a lot of cards have gotten retired. There's some of the old boxes. And, oh no, I did not mean to drop those out. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that inside look at the deck collection. I know these videos aren't too special, but I've been really busy recently hammering out all the logistics with Rise playing cards and how to get them to you guys as quickly as possible. It should only be a few more weeks before you guys start receiving them, and I am so excited to do all the content that comes with shipping them out. Stay tuned next week for a really awesome vlog type video. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, sorry for the horrible lighting, possibly bad audio and weird setting. I can't tell you guys exactly what's going on now, but I promise it'll be really cool. So thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you next week. Peace.